Welcome friends to the definitive guide on how to play Nomad. This is the first map guide in the series, and fittingly so. Nomad tests your ability to find and react to randomly dispersed resources. If you can scout and come up with a strategy on the ever-changing landscape of Nomad, you'll have useful experience that can be applied to just about any other map out there. In this guide, we'll go over the map features, the strongest civilizations and their meta, Dark Age build orders, different strategies and tips, and then finish it off with some funny strategies you can try. Of course, this isn't all my opinion on how the map should be played. I made sure to get pro Nomad player Influenza and my regular Nomad partner Genki to share their thoughts on how to best play the map. So let's start off with the map itself. Nomad is a majority land map surrounded by water. About 20% of the time, water makes up the entire outside of the map. However, the majority of the time, there is a section of the map that is landlocked, so ships only have one way around to circumnavigate the map. Water is also found in the center of the map on some maps, and that center is generally larger on larger sized maps for team games and such. And that center area does usually have deep fish. Rarely, this center pond of water can be connected to the outer water, the sea surrounding the peninsula, and usually the inlet will be covered by some shallows so that land units can still cross. So I generated 100 Nomad maps in the scenario generator to see if I could see any trends in the map generation in DE. Which side of the map is landlocked appears to be random, and I didn't see any shallows in any of the scenario editor maps. This might be that changes have occurred to Nomad since Definitive Edition has been released, but they are not reflected in the scenario editor generation. I'm not sure. Here are those 100 Nomad maps of different sizes set at 1% opacity and overlaid on top of each other. You can see the best dock positions are generally in the corners of the map, where you will have the most water to fish and the highest chance of there being deep fish. The corners of the map are also less likely to be landlocked. Additionally, resources are scattered around the map in different rates of evenness and density. There are no wolves to worry about, and of course the definitive feature for which the map is named after is you have no starting town center. So with a basic understanding of the map, let's take a look at general goals and what civilizations work best. You'll want to find a place for both your town center to start producing villagers and a place to dock to boost your economy with fishing ships. From there, the game slowly converges into a similar style as any other mixed land and water map. Civilizations that shine are those that have strong Dark Age capabilities to kickstart your economy. Persians and Malians are probably the first and second most commonly picked Nomad civilizations due to their respective wood bonuses, allowing a player to drop a dock, house, and fishing ship before their town center even gets created. So for example, if you had a villager starting near a body of water and two other villagers together at another portion of the map, you could drop that dock and have a fishing ship start fishing before those two villagers finished building the town center. Lithuanians and Mongols are both a strong choice due to their food security in the early game, which can be a difficult part of Nomad, allowing for a faster feudal age or greater emphasis on collecting wood for fishing ships. The Chinese were among the top tier Nomad civilizations along with the Persians and Malians when Definitive Edition was released, but with a recent patch they were nerfed substantially so that their villagers are postponed in production until after the first town center is created. Huns are a notably weaker civilization on Nomad due to their minimal starting wood. This means they can't place a dock before they place their town center. This may not be as damaging to their start as we'll see in just a bit. The build order for Nomad is unique from the very first button press. Instead of queuing villagers from your town center like a normal match, you'll need to have all your villagers gather into one place. This means having your finger on your idle villager button and your mouse hovering over your minimap in a central location. From there, your first goal is to find a spot for your town center. Pro Nomad player Influenza had this to say about TC placement. At the start of Nomad, the goal is to put down a town center in a decent location ASAP. By decent, I mean near wood at a minimum. your TC should be built by 1 minute, but sooner is preferable. I completely agree. I recently have been making my TC on the first wood line I find that is not on a hill. I will generally walk partially around the wood line to see if there's any other adjacent resource I can put my town center next to, but this will only be a few extra seconds of my time. My rank of importance for a town center location is that it must be next to wood. I'd like to have food nearby. Map position is also important. Gold is somewhat important, and stone positioning is quite a bit less important unless for very specific civilizations. Here is what Influenza said about map position. In general, it is better to avoid the middle of the map when you are placing a TC. It will be safer towards the edges, and it will be less likely that an opponent finds you. Building a TC near the shore is often a great idea due to the prevalence of shorefish, but you need to be careful not to get walled in later. A perfect example of getting walled in can be seen in a recent match I played against a Persian player. If I didn't have the necessary resources on my side of the wall, I could be in serious jeopardy of losing the game just because of my town center positioning. Villager placement is somewhat random at the start of the Nomad match and fall into 3 scenarios outlined by Influenza. Option 1. Most commonly, you will have 2 vills close to each other and 1 vill far away. Center your 2 closest vills while looking for a suitable TC spot. Option 2. Sometimes you will have 3 vills on distinct parts of the map. In this situation, you want to avoid walking too far. While your villagers are walking about, look at places you've scouted and throw down your TC ASAP. It's even more important to get the TC started fast in this situation, as your second and third vills may not arrive for a while. Option 3. The least common situation, you will have 3 vills very close to each other. Just center your vills and build your TC. You can afford to scout a bit longer in this situation since all your vills are so close. Dock placement is a bit more straightforward. You want to place it when you have the opportunity to and take into consideration a few factors. If you are or have a Vikings teammate, your dock will be a little bit cheaper to construct. If you are Malians or Persians, you want to get that first fishing ship out quickly to get a substantial eco bonus. If you build a dock on one side of the map with a starting villager and then build your town center with the other villagers on the opposite side of the map, you're going to have a hard time come feudal age to reinforce your fishing economy with a second dock, fishing ships, and might even have trouble contesting water. Influenza describes a way to test out the thickness or width of the body of water without scouting it before placing your dock. This is to avoid placing a dock too close to the edge of the map, where you'll have a very small chance of having any deep fish for your fishing ships to gather from. Using the palisade wall, you can visualize how many tiles you have to work with without actually scouting the water. If you're playing on a larger map with a lake in the center of the map, you may be able to fish that lake uncontested. This may allow you to have a fish boom that you don't have to reinforce with any fire ships or galleys. However, this is a high-risk, high-reward strategy. Your opponent may also likely have their own protected fish boom on the outer sections of the map. Once you have your town center and dock up, you have the choice of whether to send your first villagers to the wood line you're next to or the surrounding food resources. I generally recommend sending those first villagers to wood so that you can produce your first, or in the case of Malians and Persians, your second fishing ship. The biggest things to avoid are running out of food for villager production or getting housed. Investing in loom early is a common strategy on Nomad. This allows you to keep your town center active and gives your villagers a bit more health so they have an easier time bringing boars into the town center. Sheep should always be preferentially used for scouting over eating. If you haven't found food around your town center and you don't have any sheep to scout, go ahead and use one of your villagers to take a stroll through the countryside, building real estate as they go. A common strategy is to build a house right next to a boar you're about to lure, hence killing 2 birds with 1 stone. Once your economy is able to sustain itself in both villager and fishing ship production, you'll need to build a second economy building, whether that is a lumber camp or mill. Some players will play without a lumber camp, but the woodcutting technologies are extremely important to get as soon as possible on Nomad. From there, the strategies are either to contest water in feudal age and match it with some sort of land aggression or to fast castle. Come Feudal Age, my main strategy is to go for water control. This means by the end of Dark Age, I have to do the following. I make my lumber camp as my second building, allowing me to click up. I send one villager to make a second dock somewhere near my first, and I send 3 villagers or more to gold. Once I reach Feudal Age, I immediately queue up 2 fire galleys and get double bid axe. After that, feudal land aggression can come in multiple forms depending on civilization and your scouting. If you know your opponent has exposed villagers, you may want to go for the fastest form of feudal military, that being scouts. This will also allow you to scout your opponent's strategy and produce your own strategy to counter theirs. Towers are also a popular choice to deny your opponent's resources, especially the woodline by their town center. Feudal Age aggression is by no means required, and it is a lot less risky to go for a fast castle strategy on Nomad than a lot of other maps. If you prefer to fast castle, you will hold off on any Feudal Age economy upgrades and from producing fire ships until after you've clicked up to Castle Age. Common Castle Age strategies include a castle drop directly on your opponent's town center, as well as attacking with knights. In either strategy, look to pick off villagers that have strayed too far away from the town center to collect resources. A lot of Nomad strategy is controlling those resources, even more so than on other maps. An easy resource to control are where the golds are positioned on the map, and you can do this with either units, towers, castles, or walls. You may also want to try walling your opponent out from the rest of the map rather than walling yourself in. Don't be afraid to wall just because your villagers are spread out across your map. Your opponent may assume that you already have all your villagers inside your base if you are walled, and if they can't get in to scout your base, they won't know which resources you may be lacking. I cannot emphasize good scouting enough on Nomad. I often scout my opponent's dock with a fishing ship on my way up to Feudal Age. This allows me to know exactly where I need to send fire ships at the beginning of Feudal Age, and has the hidden bonus of allowing me to take control of all the sheep that are so often along the edge of the water. These sheep will act as my additional scouts on land. But so far, this has just been my take on Nomad with some input from Influenza, so let's now jump into an interview with Genki on his take on Nomad.
The beginning of the game is like a quick little math problem, right?
Right.
So you have 2 villagers really close by. You want them to start moving towards a direction that they're going to meet as soon as possible.
Right.
And then the third one, you could just start sending in that general direction. And then en route to those 2 villagers meeting up, if you happen to find a boar and wood, you stop right there and you start building your TC.
Yeah. Completely agree.
And then you have the other villager that hasn't located anything yet, or go meet up with the villager that's building the town center. Even if en route you find that other villager finds, oh my god, literally 3 seconds later I found 3 boars and wood and gold. Too late. You can't delete your town center. You have to commit.
Yeah, that's a good point. I never really thought about that. Is like trying to rebuild
it's like a
it.
little math.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's like a little math equation. The 2 closest, boom, they meet up. The third, and if they're like equally far, because it has happened. It happens rare though when they're all equally like in one corner of the map, and you're like, what the fuck?
Mm-hmm.
That you pretty much is all up to you. You have to be like, through my Nomad games and AOC experience, where is most likely to be good water, and then you go with that villager.
Right. Yeah. So, I mean, if you start rebuilding your TC, you lose all that walking time, and that's time you should be making villagers. The resources aren't that important.
Yeah, you have to commit. The second that villager lands that hammer,
yeah,
you have to commit.
For sure. So where do you like to make your dock? Influenza talks about making sure you have thickness of the water is apt.
Oh, of course.
So you have deep fish. Do you ever dock middle?
Rarely. When, let's say, I feel that the team I'm with, it's possibly the lower tier team, so I dock middle because most players don't dock middle.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm like, okay, if I dock middle, at least it'll be like a 1-on-1 fight.
Okay.
If I dock the outside, I'm pretty sure I'll get at least like 2v1 or possibly even 3v1s.
Right. So you're going for your own safe economy. so that
Yeah, I go
if you're
for
on
the
a
most safe economy.
worse team, at least your economy will be strong, even if the
Yeah, it'll
other
be
team
stronger.
ends up winning
But
the water
yeah, but if
on
you
the
feel like
outside.
if it's pretty level teams, and you're like, yeah, these teams are even. These teams are actually even. Yeah, I think they're even. I kind of know every single player here.
Hmm.
Then I would do what Influenza said. I would go for the outside. This is what I would advise about docking in the center. If you're close to the center and you dock in the center, that's cool. Dock in the center, but do not TC anywhere near the center. Because if you're in the center, remember that's where the horses are going to be running past later. The knights,
Right,
all the units, the camels, the archers, and it's just like it's like an unspoken rule. So that's what I mean. If your villagers for some reason happen to be near the center, that's cool. You could drop a dock there, and you're like, oh wow, this dock could possibly be great. But don't CC near the center. And also, just one huge general rule of Nomad. And I mean, this is very true, very true. Because I remember once I almost beat Fire. This was like about like a year ago when I was like playing
Hmm.
on Nomad, and it's like Nomad is honestly is all luck. So
Like what
either you
percent
gotta
luck? Like 100% luck? You're saying?
no, I mean, let's say if I'm 18 plus and I'm versus a 2K,
Hmm.
I could possibly beat a 2K on Nomad.
Okay.
Because I could end up with the gold near me. He could end up with one gold pile that I denied, and I started off with 3 boars. He started off with 1 and 3 sheeps. So a lot of people think it's so, oh my god, it has to be so perfect. And I'm like, do you know how many good players have bombed in Nomad? It's not that they bombed. It's just that's the luck of the draw.
Right.
It
Yeah.
is what it is. That's what happened.
And I think
So
that's why Nomad is really about controlling resources. That's the overall strategy once you get into late game, rather more so than other maps.
oh yeah, very, 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 very. It's definitely about controlling, especially controlling the gold.
Mhm.
If your side, and it's even more about even more so other maps. It's even more about also land control, because in essence that's where the resources are.
Right. Controlling the amount of land you have.
More land control. You're like, okay, I got all 4 players in this little 1/4 of the map,
Right. Yeah.
like which happens quite often.
Yeah, it does. They all TC next to each other, thinking they're going to be safe together, but they're giving up so many resources. They're just fighting over the same resources.
They're fighting over the same resources. There's no boom space. The other 4 players are spread. You only able to attack 1 player. The other 3 boomed. 2 imp. Now you're just dead.
Yeah. Right. Right.
Oh my gosh, there's so many strategies in Nomad, but
So what
yeah,
is
always
your
stay away
favorite?
from the center.
What's your favorite strategy? Do you usually go feudal pressure or fast castle?
My favorite strategy, which I believe is the strongest and should be the strategy everyone should do, it should be straight. Wait, just really quick. One thing when I'm seeing a lot later talking about feudal pressures, what I do is feudal pressure, but my feudal pressure is always fire ships.
Okay. You don't add
fire
land
ships.
along with that?
No, and that's one thing. I remember some dude the other day, he actually hit me pretty freaking hard, and I was shocked. I was like, oh crap. He hit me for like 6 scouts, and I was not expecting it. I was
Mhm.
like, oh, we're really going scouts on Nomad? I was like, what? What the heck? But then I kind of blew his water out of the well, I blew his freaking water out the water.
Yeah,
Fish
right.
out the water. And
You're able to survive the scouts.
I wasn't really able to survive the scouts because he hit my goat so hard
Mhm.
that I had to so you have to start shifting all resources around, right? So you can't get no goats, and now I have to put more people on wood so I could build a barracks now.
Mhm.
And now my fish are alive, so I'm building slowly but surely. I'm building spearmen. Now I have to put people back on gold, so it throws you off so much when you get surprises.
Mhm.
But then I killed all his fish, so he was slowed down even more than I was, because now he has to start putting 1 farm at a time,
Right.
and he just made scouts,
Right.
which really
If he wants to
depleted
keep going with that, it's
food
a lot of
resources.
food. Yeah.
Which really depleted his food income.
Mhm.
So, but feudal pressure, me personally, I don't know about influenza, but me personally, the only civ in the entire game that should go fast castle is the Vikings, and that's for like water maps, and that's due to the invention of the fire galley.
Okay.
They only have galleys, and galleys
Right.
get utterly destroyed by fire galleys.
In the early game.
So in the early game, so they have literally, and I mean they literally have no way to win because all you're doing is fire galleys. That's automatic.
Mm-hmm.
So their goal, if you're a Viking player on Nomad, your goal should strictly, and I mean strictly, 100% be go straight castle and start making longboats.
Okay.
And the longboats, they start disseminating. They decimate everything.
Right. Yeah.
That's the only civilization that should go to fast castle. I mean, if you want to try new things, by all means, go ahead, try new things. But that should be technically the only civ that should be going fast castle.
Okay. Yeah, Influenza just left it at Dark Age. He didn't really go into Feudal Age strategies. So do you think once you get to your Feudal, you're putting on water pressure, and then Castle, do you just go with whatever your civ's strengths are, or you just play it like a normal map after that?
What do you mean? What do you mean?
Like,
You
do you have a
said
preference for what units you make? Like, say you're Chinese, who have quite a few different units that, you know, they're pretty versatile. Do you have a preference on one unit over another because of the map?
Castle AJ? That's all pretty much. That's all pretty much on who the person is,
Mhm.
how much experience they have playing the game. If you, like I said, if you feel comfortable, you know what? I know he has no fish, and I have fish. I produce him in knights, and you're, like I said, once again, you're Celts, and you're going against the Franks. I could produce them in knights. I'm gonna go knights, then by all means. But I would just stick with the strengths of my civs versus the enemy that's immediately at hand.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense. I was thinking, since scouting is so important on Nomad, that you
Oh,
might
yeah.
want to go with a more mobile unit. But if you're,
Yeah.
I think in Feudal Age that would make more sense when you have even less scouting. But if you're going to skip Feudal land pressure and go water pressure in Feudal and then go up to Castle fairly quickly, you might just go with whatever the strength is.
But once again, that all depends. Like I said too, like I said, remember, it all depends how immediate the threat is to you.
Mhm.
If you know you're like right next to each other, then I would personally go pikemen for right next to each other because they're probably gonna go knights. So I
Mhm.
go pikemen and then siege.
Okay.
But if you're far from each other, you do want that mobile unit. I'd rather than just go knights because how else am I gonna reach him in time? I'm not gonna send pikemen to go attack. They're gonna
Right.
get killed by the town centers.
Right. Gotcha. How often do you tower on Nomad or try to castle drop?
Well, castle drop is. I don't know how to explain. What do you think by castle drop? Because castle drop, you could either do it. You could either try to go for that fast castle and then castle drop, or you could castle drop after you've beaten that person in the water already, and then just to finish them off, you can castle drop.
What I see most
So
often
so what do you
is
mean by castle drop?
is like maybe they'll put up one tower just to kind of secure their position next to your base, and then they'll follow it up with fast castle drop, and they
Yeah,
won't
that
even go
actually-
for water.
Yeah, that's actually pretty dangerous. Yeah, that is a good strategy actually.
Mhm.
That is a very good strategy because yeah, things like that do happen, and they don't care about their fish. They let their fish go down. They're pretty much trying to make it like a 1v1 type
Right.
of thing. Okay, I'm losing all my eco, but this person's gonna lose all their eco in town center as well.
Gotcha. Yeah.
So that's like what a castle drop kind of means. I mean, I don't really want to say castle drop 30 minutes into the game because by that time you already got a full economy set
Right.
up.
Yeah. Right. That's too late.
But if it's as a strategy, it's pretty good, but it does mess you up as well. As if you're the castle dropper, it messes you up as well. Because now after you drop the castle, now you have to start redistributing your villagers. Okay, now let me put people on farm, but the other person gets hurt bad. Castle drops are so, especially on Nomad. They're quite common to be dropped right in front of your face, like literally.
Right,
in
yeah,
front
that's
of
what
your
I've
face.
experienced.
That doesn't happen like on Arabia. Like they literally come right in front of your face and they drop the
Yeah.
castle. You're like, wow. Can you back up and give me some space?
Right. So yeah, I've experienced that on like with a Britain player, a Mongol player, or a Berber player, where they have some type of ranged mobile unit, and they can just keep denying more and more resources after they drop the castle. And that's really devastating because anywhere you try to run after that, they just chase you, and
Yes.
you don't really have an option to rebuild, and it's GG from there, even if you have full water control.
Oh yeah. Water control is crazy because it goes from the most important thing literally the most
Right.
important thing in feudal age, and I mean that's number one. Is water control, then comes God, then comes work, then comes work, then comes family. You know what I mean?
Gotcha.
So it's so important, water control in the feudal age. But then after everyone has been okay, you clearly killed them. Okay, like when that what next moment hits, and it usually hits in the castle age, like that one next moment. Okay, you can drop out of water.
Right. Yeah, I've definitely
Yeah,
seen that
don't
experience. Do you how
yeah
many
don't
TCs do you normally go for? Do you have a magic
after.
number? Like since you're already on,
Mm,
if say you win water, you have a fish boom going. Do you invest in a lot of TCs or do you just kind of
my
try to
my
play up
my num
castle?
my general number for TCs is usually 4.
Even on Nomad,
I
where you
don't
have the fish boom?
even on Nomad. Yeah, even on Nomad. That's my general TC is always 4. Even on Arabia, honestly, like every map, like I feel like Nomad is like it's the reason I personally like Nomad so much because I feel like it's a combination of all of your skills as a player.
Mm-hmm.
Like literally as your skills as a player. You don't have no food. Well, you know what to do next. Make fishing ship. Oh, you found that sheep. Okay, take 3 off wood, put him on that sheep so you can get that sheep food and come in.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, you found the boar 10 minutes into the game. Go get that boar, take 7 off wood and leave only 4 because your wood is already at 200. It's a bunch of it's like a pure Nomad for me is the most pure skill based map in the game. That's why I like it so much because it literally shows who you are as a player.
Yeah, I totally agree. That's exactly why I started this series with Nomad because I think it's like, I mean, Arabia would seem like it makes sense. I'm not going to make a
No,
video on Arabia because there's just too many build orders and things to cover.
yeah, exactly. Arabia has so many build orders that it's like it's just literally it's build orders. You want to
Yeah,
make man of arms, you want to make archers, you want to make fast castle into plumes. There's so many build orders, but Nomad is like it's like your experience after you feel like or whenever you don't have to feel like you're a good player,
hmm
but once you feel like you understand the game a little, and you could be a new player, intermediate, expert, whatever. Once you feel that you understand the game to a certain level, you play Nomad pretty much just to see where you're at and knowing the game itself.
right.
That's honestly that's really why I like Nomad so
Yeah,
much.
and you can't even have a build order for it since everything changes so
This
much.
yeah yeah that's another thing I was gonna tell you like exactly. So going back to the you have everyone on wood, you find that one sheep. I'm like, oh, did you study that build order about when you find that sheep at 10 minutes and Nomad what you should do? It's like no, that build order doesn't exist. It's way too meticulous
Yeah,
and impossible to replicate. You're not gonna find that sheep again in the next Nomad game at 10 exact minutes.
right.
Let me drop. Oh, I remember a week ago I took 5 villagers off, and then at exactly 11 minutes I had enough to click up to feudal age. Like no, that's not gonna happen.
Yeah, not at all.
Not at all. Nomad it doesn't flow that way.
Mm-mm. Let's see. Do you have a favorite civ when you play DE Nomad Civ? What do you think is the best Nomad Civ at the moment?
Uh, the best
Or I
Nomad
guess
Civ
rank
at the
rank a
moment.
few civilizations and how you think
Yeah,
they compete.
I'll just throw a couple in there. These could all go in different orders actually.
hmm
Uh, just off the bat, top 2 is gonna be Mayans and Persians.
Yeah, agreed.
That's automatic. Automatic. I heard that they nerfed the Chinese now. Well, they didn't nerf them, but they took away
Starting villagers,
their
so they only
their
get them
starting villagers or
after the
something.
village after the town center gets built.
Well, is it? I can't remember. I can't remember Recif. But is it Italians? I believe that have the cheaper fishing ships.
I think
That their
so.
fishing ships cost like 63 wood instead of 75. I'm almost certain it's Italians.
The fishing ships are 20% cheaper.
So it is Italians.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's oh man, I'm telling you, when I get Italian and then they get the Conterreo later on,
yeah.
so you don't have to go to champs. Oh, Italians are I personally believe they're really good at Nomad.
Okay.
Like very
Yeah.
good. So Italians,
Have you played with
well,
Lithuanians yet, who start with the extra 150 food?
no, I haven't. I haven't played with them at all.
So, Jominal's a big fan of them because you can get the extra fishing ships out even faster because you prioritize wood collection with your villagers, since you don't have to go to food for quite a while once you have your TC up.
Yeah, 150 food extra.
Yeah,
That's
that's 3 extra
extra.
bills. Yeah, just
That's
starting
but
off.
you know what? You know what's funny that you mentioned that? That was actually one of the, I guess, I don't know, one of the focal points of the Chinese civilization when like Age of Kings came out. They'd had, I believe, if I remember correctly, they had the additional villagers. They
Hmm.
had like, you start off with 3 additional villagers, and you start off with your normal food amount,
Oh, really?
which is
Wow.
like 200. Yeah, so you were like, wait, what? So you're
Yeah.
just giving me more at the start?
Yeah.
Like, yeah, period. Yeah, we're just giving you more villagers and your normal food count. So
Wow.
everyone starts off with 200. Yeah. Oh yeah, Chinese were like, oh, Chinese didn't. I'm almost certain that's how they first started off in Age of Kings. Chinese in Age of Kings were pretty much the number one civilization for, especially for 1v1s.
Yeah, I'm sure. What do you think of them now that they don't get their extra villagers when until the TC's built? Will you
I
rank them
mean,
just mid tier?
nah, you know why? I will still rank them. Personally, me, I would rank them like, honestly, I would rank them exactly the same,
Really?
because exactly this, not super exactly, but not really too far off. Let's say if I give them, just for example, let's say if they were a 99 right now, I would give them a 93.
Okay, out of
It's
100.
really, yeah, the 100. It's really not that different. It's
Right,
really not
right.
that different because, okay, the difference is that the town centers are going up slower in Nomad, because now you
Mm-hmm.
have 3 villagers building it instead of like 6, 5, whatever the Chinese have. Do you know
6.
exactly how many villagers? 6?
Yeah.
See, I don't know this stuff. I don't know why. I don't know how the heck I play this game. But so 6 villagers. Usually, by the time they're building the town center, it's like at least 4. So it's like at least that, which is pretty quick.
Mm-hmm.
So now you have like 1 villager starting off,
Right.
which now it kind of decreases their speed a lot.
Mm-hmm.
You have less scouting in the front, but that's all early game things, which it is important. But I mean, that's
Yeah.
like very minuscule.
And they still have to go to
You,
food early to be able to keep up build production rather than making
yeah,
fishing ships, which I think is, I don't know. I'd bump them
yeah,
down
but
a
a
little
lot of
bit.
no, but if you think about it, a lot of civilizations could have that problem regardless. What happens if you build your town center and you only build it next to wood and gold, and then you bring all your 3 villagers and you still haven't had any food? Now you only have 3 villagers gathering wood. At
Yeah,
least the Chinese at this point already have 6 gathering wood, and they could build faster fishing ships.
right.
And then
But
sometimes you don't. Uh huh.
they don't get faster fishing ships. That's Persians.
No. I'll say you'll get faster fishing ships out,
Oh, okay.
because you have 6 gathering instead of
Oh, I
3
see. Later.
gathering.
So,
If you both have bad locations, which
okay.
happens quite often too in Nomad.
Yeah, I mean, so you would in Chinese you would catch up with the fishing ships later. You would just wouldn't get them out as early.
With Chinese, no,
Yeah.
you'll get them out probably faster. I'm going like if it's like two civilized two. I'm comparing it to, let's say, like a 1 versus 1 that
Like,
none of them have food.
right,
So
like
they
Chinese
have
versus
to chop. So
Franks.
they have to chop wood. I would say that the Chinese will get the fishing ships out first, because they have more people
Okay.
at the beginning
I see
out
what you
of
mean.
wood.
Yeah. If neither player has food.
So and which that could happen easily. You could easily get a bad location on Nomad. That's where I told you it comes to
Well, in
that
the
luck
DE version of
percentage.
Nomad, food is spread out quite a bit more evenly, so it's a lot harder to get a bad location.
Really?
Yeah. Like there aren't 3 boar spots anymore. Boars are 1 and they're just really evenly spread. Same with deer and berries, and sheep
Hmm.
as well. So I haven't had any issues. In fact, the order that I rank finding a TC is any wood line that doesn't have a hill, so you can put a TC down. I put it down on right away now. And then I look for food around. Hopefully I've found a sheep and I can just look for food around the TC. And there's almost always at least a boar, usually deer as well.
Wow, that's actually pretty nice.
Yeah, I think it
If it's
balances the
more
early game a lot more
spread.
and
Yeah,
makes you
yeah.
focus on gold resources instead of winning right in Dark Age.
So that means now you need even more uh more even teams.
Yeah,
Because now
right.
the resources are more evened out.
What about if you're Malians and you already have your first fishing ship out while your TC is being built? Do you go to wood and try to get your next fishing ship out, your second one, even if it means you have to get loom because you haven't been on food quite early enough to sustain villager production?
Yeah, of course. Yeah,
Yeah,
I would
okay.
definitely. I will still definitely go for that. That easy second fishing ship. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's way too enticing. I would go for it because I already know that. I already know I got automatic food coming in.
Yeah, I've noticed with Malians, if you get your dock off before your TC's built, get your house, your first fishing ship out, and your deep fish is fairly close to your town center, it's almost like you have that extra 50 food. So you have one extra villager that you can produce before you even have to, like before other civs would even be collecting food. I've just
True,
found it
yeah.
super strong. I'm just such a big Malians fan. I don't know if it's showing or not.
No, it's definitely not. Mine are okay.
Oh man.
Anyway, let's not get into who's the better
Best
civ
civ, yeah.
conversation. Oh, and just also so you know, top 5 civs in what I believe to be a nomad are gonna be let's say in no real order, just saying them. It can be Persia, Mayans, Italians, Japanese, and I would definitely throw Celts in there because they wood chop so fast, so you could get more fishing ships, more everything. That's personally me.
Are you saying
I'm
Mayans
sorry.
over or Malians?
No, Mayans, not Malians.
Wait,
Mayans.
what? You don't put Malians top 5?
In Nomad?
Even with their extra
With
fishing ship?
Damn. Overall? I don't know if overall.
Okay.
Yeah.
What about Mongols with the fact that they can get up to feudal faster if they have hunt? Knowing
Yeah,
that in
but
DE it's a bit more balanced, the hunt.
yeah, but even Mongols too I like the Mongols before they nerfed the crap out of the Mangudais. Those were the fun Mongols. Those were the Mongols that were Genghis Khan Mongols. But
Right.
now it's like Genki Mongols or Khan Mongols. They're not conquering anyone. These Mongols are too much worried about their credit report.
Right?
But anyway, those are the Mongols that I used to love. But no, not even. No, I think I'll stick around with that because Malians. I don't think the Malians are that great of. Do you think they're that great of a civ overall?
Yeah, they have fully upgraded stable until they're missing Paladin. And they got Farimba, which really helps out in that regard. And then they get hand cannon, they get BBC. They don't have bracer, so they're not going to be great late game on water, but Nomad late game water isn't really a thing. After the interview, Genki and I jumped into a Nomad game together to put what you heard into practice. Our opponents definitely did not follow the meta of Nomad, but you can see the effectiveness of a few different strategies. If you have anything you disagree with us on, have any suggestions, or any questions, please don't hesitate to throw them in the comments. I have to give a big thank you to both Genki and Influenza for contributing their thoughts to the guide. The interview with Genki went quite a bit longer than I had expected, but there was so much good content that I could not cut out. Thank both of you very much. The next map guide will be on a map that I believe will be coming to the rank pool fairly soon, but has been played very little by the community at large. The map is called Hideout, where you start on opposite sides of a large forest with palisade walls surrounding your town center. If you or anyone you know has a lot of experience on the map, please share what you know about the map. These guides would not be fair to the community if they relied solely on my experience. Thank you for watching, and until next time.